Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Play On podcast. In this episode, we're going to be giving our preview of the Ulster Football Championship for 2021. I have Luke here with me. Luke, what do you make of the Ulster Championship this year?
Yeah, really interesting game. Probably always is when we're at the provincial stage of the year. The Ulster Championship is the one that always probably gets the most attention and the most kind of analysis of, just due to the sheer amount of teams that are on a similar kind of ability level as each other, or kind of within the same kind of same type of kind of abilities as each other. So yeah, I think it's really set up to be a very interesting kind of couple of weeks ahead.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. Right, so let's get into it. So the first game is the preliminary round between Down and Donegal, two teams that, to be honest, don't look near their best. Down managed to stay in Division 2 by beating Laois in the relegation playoff. Donegal managed to get into the league semi-final against Dublin, but they lost by 4 points. Donegal don't really look their best. Of course, the likes of Michael Murphy is out injured right now. We're not sure when he'll be back. The likes of Paddy McBrearty and Oran McNeilish as well, picking up a couple of injury niggles. We're not sure where their fitness is at. Down coming into it, they look terrible in the league at stages, to be completely honest, playing a very outdated and negative defensive system. It's a very interesting game, though. I think the two teams are coming into it not really at their best, but I do think Donegal should probably win the game anyway, in my opinion. I think that they have quality footballers. They'll still have the likes of Michael Langley and Ryan McHugh playing, and I think that they have more than enough in the tank to get past this Down team.
Yeah, I think you summed it up well there with kind of the fact that Down, kind of with the style of play they're playing at, it never seems to kind of work against the big teams, and it's just kind of nearly a way of limiting the scoreboard a little bit. So yeah, absolutely, I think that I'd fully be expecting Donegal to come out by about 6 or 7 points on top in this game. Yeah, the real question is whether Murphy plays. Like, do they ease him back into it? And yeah, that's the one to look out for, to see kind of what role he'll play. And then, of course, it'd be interesting to see how Oran McNeilish gets on as the kind of Ulster goes on as well. I think he could be an absolutely huge player for them too. So yeah, I think I would go with Donegal to be quite comfortable and to win this kind of without breaking too much of a sweat.
Yeah, I do think, though, for Down, like, if they're ever going to get a better chance to beat Donegal, it's when Michael Murphy is out injured is the best chance to play Donegal and to cause a bit of an upset. But I don't think Down are the team that are equipped to do it, because they will show Donegal too much respect. They will sit and they will put 13 men behind the ball again. They'll leave Barry O'Hagan isolated up front on his own. And yeah, I think it's going to be quite a low scoring game in which Donegal run out comfortable enough winners, in my opinion. So moving into the quarterfinals, then, if whoever comes out of that game between Down and Donegal, they go on to play against Derry. And I think this game, in my opinion, is the fixture that jumps out as being the ones to watch, really, before you get to the last four.
Yeah, I think again, like what we're dealing with here, kind of, is that it's. I think the outcome of this game is entirely dependent on the fitness of those Donegal players. I think Donegal have Michael Murphy back in the team, and he's playing at the level that we all know he's capable of. With McBrearty and form inside, then you have to probably look at Donegal as the favourites to get through it, but you cannot ignore Derry's form at the moment and the league campaign that they just had. Everyone's kind of talking about them right now. We're trying to work out where exactly they are. Where they are, they've steamrolled everyone in Division 3, and they've looked absolutely dominant in that division. So the question we have to ask ourselves here is, do we think that they can get them elevate themselves to playing a Division 1 side and a team that would probably fancy themselves as a top 3 All Ireland contender?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's fascinating, to be honest, because I completely agree with what you said. I completely agree that if Michael Murphy's back, if McBrearty and McNeilish are at 100% going along with the likes of Niall O'Donnell and, Michael Langan and Kieran Thompson, I think you have to go for Donegal to win this game. But if those players are out, if McBrearty's out, if McNeilish is out, if Michael Murphy is out, and you're coming into the game with Conor Glass and Emmett Bradley at midfield, such a dominant midfield pairing, and Shane McGuigan inside for Derry, who's on fire, and Chrissy McKay then doesn't have to mark Paddy McBrearty. He can mark, who Donegal's talisman is going to be on that day. All of a sudden, Derry winning the game doesn't actually look even like that much of a surprise if Murphy, McBurty and McNeilis are out, because for Donegal, those players are the making or breaking of their team, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you look kind of last year at the way Donegal were a victim of kind of a shock where you would be completely surprised that they were kind of nobody expected them to lose that game against Cavan. I think it just showed the capacity of like surprises to happen in a system where there is no backdoor, and that on any given day a team can be knocked out. So yeah, I think all these factors have to be considered. But if I was thinking kind of, I suppose when you're thinking logically, like you look at Donegal's team and you say like that surely that they probably would come through it. But I'd be very hesitant when saying that Donegal are going to beat Derry in this game because it is dependent on those kind of factors that we've already talked about now.
Yeah, that definitely is. The factors in this game now have a huge impact. Whereas before the league began, I would have said Donegal to win this game 100%. But the form that Derry have looked in is outrageous. You can't ignore the wins that they have had. They did beat last year's Ulster champions. That can't be ignored as well, and they beat them rather easily. Now going in against a Donegal team that are hurting after losing last year's Ulster crown. They should never have lost. I feel like they thought that they were just going to turn up and take the cup, that Cavan were going to roll over for them. So as of now, I'm going to go with Donegal to win this game, but I wouldn't say it would be by much.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair, and yeah, I'll be curious to see kind of Donegal's performance in that kind of first game, assuming they get through, and that will be hugely kind of decisive in the outcome, I'd say, in the Derry game.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on to the rest of the Ulster quarter-finals. The first one we're going to look at is taking place in Clones. It's between Monaghan and Fermanagh on Saturday the 3rd of July.
Yeah, another kind of interesting one. Fermanagh just about kind of staying up Division 3. Yeah, I think you'd probably have to look at Monaghan. I looked the final fixture against Galway in the league will be absolutely huge for them. Saw Jack McCarron back at full fitness, kind of kicking an unbelievable score to keep them up. I think belief would be high kind of after that kind of. So yeah, probably have to back them to win at home.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Monaghan's forwards just look on fire right now. Conor McCarthy, if he fires, I think he'll terrorise Fermanagh. Conor McManus as well looked very, very good against Galway. Jack McCarron looked outrageous, kicking 7 points on the day. Stephen O'Hanlon looks brilliant as well. Like, I think Monaghan they have too much quality for Fermanagh. So as good as Fermanagh did look initially by beating Cavan and getting some good results under Ryan McMenamin, I think they're going to be out in the first round this year to Monaghan.
Yep, absolutely, completely agree.
So moving on from that game now, I feel a bit here for Antrim now because, they had a wonderful league campaign under Enda McGinley. He's come in with fresh ideas and enthusiasm. He's, players like Mark Jordan and Paddy Cunningham have, given some memorable moments over the leagues. And the reward for it all is they're playing against an Armagh side which have stayed in Division 1 and have looked exceptional at times. And not only that, they have them away from home in the athletic grounds in Armagh. I think this will just be a step too far for them, but it still has been a wonderful year for Antrim.
Yep, absolutely. And I don't think they'll be too upset with their year at all. I think their outcome this year was definitely promotion from Division 4, and they've achieved that. And they'll be back up to where they feel they'll be playing at a more appropriate level for themselves next year. And I suppose, yeah, they'll probably be a bit disappointed with the way kind of the draw has gone for them here, that they're coming up against the Division 1 side. And there is no backdoor again this year. So, yeah, it'd be disappointing. And so, yeah, I'd expect Armagh to win kind of comfortably enough after a spirited enough Antrim performance.
Yeah, I think it will be a good first half from Antrim where they'll kind of hang in the game for a little bit, but then I think Armagh will put them away. I think the O'Neill brothers will have another outstanding performance and kick more spectacular points in another solid Armagh win. I think Kieran McGeeney's really starting to come in on his, to come into his own as Armagh boss, and Kieran Donaghy's influence is clear to see there with Armagh as well. They look really good. So I'm going to go with them to win. So the last quarter final there now is Tyrone against Cavan, and I think that this could be a really bad day for Cavan, having seen the awful form that they're in. However, Cavan were in awful form going into last year's Ulster Championship, and then they beat Monaghan, They beat Antrim, they beat Down, and then of course they beat Donegal to win the Ulster Championship.
Yeah, I think surely the Lightning can't strike twice with this one. I think the form is just too poor to expect any kind of shock here. Although Tyrone will look like they will be missing Derek Hannivan after a nasty enough injury kind of against Kerry. And Tyrone didn't look too good at all in that game against Kerry themselves. So it's kind of interesting when two teams probably not too happy with the way their league campaigns have kind of ended coming into this. So Tyrone will be hoping to kind of sort out the defence a bit more and obviously stop shipping as many goals as they did against Kerry. But yeah, I think Tyrone will be comfortable enough anyway. I don't think Cavan will be able to replicate any of their heroics last year.
Yeah, I agree with you there, but I do think it's a very interesting point that you made, that it's two teams that have come into this game now off the back of horrible results to finish off their league campaigns. Cavan, of course, getting relegated, and Tyrone conceding 6 goals to Kerry. 2 results that would have really put a dampener on their preparations for the championship. But I think, to be honest, that Cavan is a really good bounce back game for Tyrone. And yeah, I think they're going to get the win comfortably enough. I think they'll win it by about 5 to 10 points, somewhere in that region.
Yep, that sounds pretty much spot on.
So moving into the semi-finals then, if we got all of our results, if we got all of our predictions correct, then the semi-finals would be Armagh against Monaghan and Tyrone against Donegal. Which results do you predict here?
Yeah, I think it's funny because this is a repeat of that weekend recently in the National League where these two games were a draw, where 116 apiece and 114 apiece. So yeah, these are so hard to call. And those league games were really nip and tuck, real championship feel from those two games. They were probably the two best games in the Division 1 league so far, maybe exception to Dublin Kerry. But they were absolute crackers of games. And yeah, really hard to call. I'd probably lean towards a Armagh Donegal final though.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think it's more likely, in my opinion, that Monaghan beat Armagh than Tyrone beat Donegal. I think Armagh did beat Monaghan in the league. I think Monaghan kind of might be a bit hurt by that, and they might want to come back and to exact the revenge, if you like, on Armagh, an Armagh team that is growing in confidence. Monaghan still seem to be kind of flying under the radar a little bit, even though their players have shown some absolutely outrageous performances. And, it's only a few years ago that Monaghan were put down as All-Ireland contenders, and they seem to have really fallen down in people's expectations of what they're capable of. So this might be the best time to kind of, show, what they're made of, and to show everybody that they're still one of those top contenders. So, to be honest, I think the Armagh Monaghan game is the most difficult game to call. I think they're so evenly matched that I really wouldn't know who to go with. I'd almost be leaning towards Monaghan because of their experience of winning Ulster titles in the last few years. Nobody on the Armagh panel has an Ulster medal.
Yep, I think that's a very fair point. And that probably has been the biggest criticism of them, is that they haven't managed to get over the line really at all. And they've frequently had a significant lack of success up in Ulster, even under McGeady and despite kind of the good kind of form that they've shown this year, that question will linger over them. But yeah, I think there's something kind of different about Armagh this year. I think that forward line is just too good to kind of stop right now. And I think, I think with the way the teams are playing, I think it could be a bit of a shootout, and I'm going to go with Armagh to just have a little bit more up front than Monaghan. But I completely understand why you would lean towards Monaghan in this game.
Yeah, me personally, I'm going to go with Monaghan to win this game. I just think their experience, I think the likes of Conor McManus, I think they will be underrated for this game. I think they will be undervalued for this game. And I think they're going to get wound up and they're going to get the job done. So then moving into the other semi-final, if we got this right, of course, Tyrone would be playing against Donegal. So with this semi-final between Tyrone and Donegal, it's two teams that have played each other a hell of a lot over the last few years. Their rivalry has really intensified. I feel like that started, back when Jim McGuinness came in, and he really wanted to establish that, mentality that they can beat Tyrone, because Tyrone were the kings of Ulster before Jim McGuinness came in and charged Donegal. Ever since then, Donegal have won a lot of Ulster titles. They should have won last year's one as well, to do a 3 in a row. They didn't. I think that Tyrone are too scrambled, in my opinion. They have a hell of a lot of fantastic footballers, but they haven't managed to put them into a coherent unit. They haven't put them into a team where they all know their jobs. They still seem to be experimenting a hell of a lot, and I don't think that's good for them going into this game. And I think that even though I think that they will beat Cavan in the quarterfinal, I don't think they'll beat Donegal in the semi-final.
Yep, I think you're pretty much spot on. I think, yeah, again, look, all these games when we've talked about Donegal is dependent on fitness, and I'll say it again. But like, yeah, I would go with Donegal. I have Donegal ranked as the third best team in the country right now. So yeah, I have them backed to overcome Tyrone. I think Donegal had a better campaign in the league than Tyrone, even with the injuries as well. So yeah, I do think that Donegal will be a little bit ahead of Tyrone this year, bearing in mind that it's the first year of the new managerial team in Tyrone, and they will be continuing to build every single year.
Yeah. So with that, then we both have different Ulster finals. Your Ulster final would be Armagh against Donegal. My Ulster final would be Monaghan against Donegal. But I feel like there's a good chance that we could agree on a final winner. Who do you think would
Yeah,
win if it was Armagh versus Donegal?
yeah, absolutely. I think we're probably going to both share the belief that Donegal are going to exact revenge for last year, and probably, I don't know if it was complacency a little bit last year, but I guarantee you they will be fully prepared to not kind of replicate their failures last year. I think they'll be well up for Ulster this year. So yeah, I do think they will bounce back and kind of reflect like the strength of the panel that they have there, and will come out on top in Ulster this year.
Yeah, I think you make a very solid point there with the hurt that they would feel from last year. And yeah, by the time that the final comes around, Michael Murphy surely be back, McBrearty surely be back, McNeilish be back. They'll be back to full strength at the right time, and I think they will be Ulster champions. So we've agreed there that Donegal are our pick for Ulster champions for 2021. So that's our review of the Ulster Championship done for 2021. I think the biggest shout, though, as dark horses, in my opinion, is Derry. I think that if Donegal are going to be caught, I'd almost say the best chance that they can be caught is by Derry in the quarterfinal.
Yeah, completely. I think that will be the time where you might see it. That will be the time when they're not at full fitness, and I think they're just a considerable unknown right now. So yeah, but like we know, like we've kind of gone with teams that are that kind of are the favourites in it, but we've seen last year that the capacity for surprises in Ulster and stuff. So yeah, I think it's going to be absolutely fascinating going forward.
Yeah, definitely. I think this Ulster Championship is actually one of the most kind of even that it has been in a long time, because usually it's one of Donegal, Monaghan or Tyrone that you'd pick to win it. But I think this year Armagh have really come into their own, and we're not even given the Ulster champions of last year of really any chance of winning the championship this year. But yeah, so I'm happy to go with Donegal as our pick for Ulster champions for 2021. And that is the wrap for our Ulster Championship preview for 2021. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll come back with our Munster Championship preview, and take care.